Alright, so today we're going to have kind of an interesting review. We're going to talk about the Century Arms RAS 47, RAS 47, a lot of people call it. It's going to be an interesting review for two reasons. Number one, there's a lot of debate, we'll say, about that gun. And second is, I don't actually have it here with me. Spoiler alert, because it died after 1,000 rounds, and I sent it back to Century. They replaced it with a new RAS 47, which I then sold to a local gun shop before I even took it out of the box. But we're going to kind of go from beginning to end of my experience with it and talk about some of the good points and some of the bad points. The gun does have some good points, contrary to what some people will tell you. I know there's already a lot of material out there on the RAS 47 because it was so controversial. We're going to throw my 2 cents in there. That way you guys can know what you're getting. If you come across one, whether it's used or new in the box, I would kind of take the same precautions regardless. So to start from the beginning, I bought mine relatively soon after they released them. I had it for about a year-ish before I started having issues with it and sent it back to Century and got a new one back, which I then sold to a gun shop before I did anything with it. And that would have been probably a couple years ago. So, that being said, I bought it, started shooting it. At first, really liked the gun. It had, like I said, some good points that we'll touch on real quick here. And as we're going through, I'll try and roll, footage of me shooting the original gun that I had. You're going to notice different setups and stuff as I had it over a period of time. All right, so the first thing I liked about it, just in case anyone's wondering, this is a chopped barrel with training and everything installed from centerfire systems off a Yugo AK with the very cool grenade launching sight. So it's all still cosmolined up. I haven't cleaned it up yet. And this is out of another rifle that I'm going to use to kind of explain what was going on with my Century rifle in a little bit here. Alright, so some of the high points of the rifle, we'll touch on those first. So the barrel, the RAS has an American-made barrel that is more accurate than most AK barrels. I can't remember who made it, but when I grouped it, when I was shooting it, it is an accurate barrel. It's a good barrel. So that is a good thing they put in there. Honestly, the barrel is probably the best component they put in that rifle. Second would be the finish. Whatever finish they used on those guns is very durable and it does prevent corrosion. I did not have any trouble with it wearing off or the gun rusting or doing any of that, and I was not maintaining. I wasn't out dragging it through the swamp and shit, but I was not maintaining it a lot or oiling a lot, and it did not corrode. And the finish kept looking pretty much brand new, which is not always the case with some of the finishes that come on AKs, whether it's the kind of Arsenal paint finish or some of the finishes on the Wassers aren't that great either. So it was a very good looking gun from a fit and finish perspective. The mag release on them is extended, or was extended, beyond what you would see on a normal AK. So, if I can get one out for a normal AK here. Alright. So, as you guys can see, this is the trigger guard and mag release for a normal AK, right? It's kind of stubby, spring-loaded, mag rocks in just like that into the receiver that would be kind of right here. So on the RAS, it's the same basic component except there are little wings out on either side. They give you a better purchase for when you're knocking your mag out doing your reloads, which I liked a lot. I've since found some aftermarket companies that make them, and I've put them on some of my other AKs. So good job with that, Century. The action in general, when you were cycling the bolt back and forth, it felt very smooth. It didn't have the kind of clunkier feeling that some of your mostly Romanian-made guns can have. The fit of the action felt very good. It had a good trigger. The rack, whatever the rack trigger is they're putting in there. I can't remember the name. Anyways, is good. I like it more than the Tapco triggers. It has a kind of a take up and then a noticeable wall and a break I don't know what the poundage is, but it is not overly heavy. It's not as good as like an ALG trigger, but it's not bad. I like it more than the Tapcos. I find the Tapcos to be mushy and kind of have an indefinite break. I prefer, honestly, some of the military triggers on the Yugo rifles over the Tapcos. I just don't like them. And I've used the Sentry trigger as an independent group in some other rifles and had very good luck with them holding up and performing well. Alright, customer service. So, considering this rifle is essentially hot garbage, or was hot garbage, Sentry's customer service was very good. They responded promptly when I contacted them. I had bought the rifle through Atlantic Arms. All they asked for was essentially my receipt from Atlantic. I sent it to them, along with some pictures they requested of essentially the bolt, the locking lugs on the bolt, and the carrier. And they also wanted pictures of, oops, I think this up here, the trunnion and the locking lugs in the trunnion. So right there and right there, to check for wear so they could confirm what was going on. I sent them those, and almost immediately, within a reasonable amount of time, a couple days, they had sent me a shipping label and sent it back. They very quickly turned around and said, hey, we're sending you a new rifle, which I got, and promptly sold because I did not want to deal with that again. The gun had almost exactly 1,000 rounds on it, and what was going on as I was shooting it, I would go out to the range, shoot, come back, strip it down, and notice that so much metal had moved around on the bolt carrier in this area here and on the bolt locking lugs that after some range sessions you couldn't get the bolt out of the carrier. Okay, you'd go back to the range, shoot some more metal would move around, and you could separate it. Obviously that's a problem. So I contacted Sentry and they took care of it, but I had no faith in the rifle, so I sold it. Based on some of the other feedback I was seeing online, the other reviews, I went out and got a 7.62x39 no-go gauge and started testing it after every range session with this bad boy. And I came back one day, tested it, and it failed. So that's when I contacted them. I told them what was going on. I showed them a picture of it failing. And like I said, they did take care of it. But essentially, I would consider that a very dangerous gun to shoot or to own. And definitely, if you own one or are going to buy one, buy a no-go gauge or a field gauge, either one, with it and test it specifically. And keep an eye out for wear, specifically on specifically on your locking lugs on your bolt, right? You'll see the edges of those start wearing down. Instead of being sharp, they'll be rounded. Oddly enough, the top flat here of my bolt, it looked chewed up. It had like these kind of diagonal lines going across it just from cycling the action, I guess. I had wear back in this area and a lot of wear on the tail because it was just soft as can be. This, if my camera's focusing, is about what you'd consider normal wear on a gun that's up in the thousands of rounds, which is built correctly. The Sentry gun looked like someone was hitting hot peanut butter with a hammer, as far as the metallurgy went. And up in here, minus the part of this poor gun that got chopped. On the Sentry gun I had, the actual trunnion, the lugs on the trunnion, looked good. They didn't really show any wear. So it looked to me, I'm not a metallurgist, like the trunnion was over hard maybe, and the bolt and bolt carrier were over soft. It's a possibility, but the gun just chewed itself apart. So my other dislike is the stock. The stock that comes on those guns is total garbage. It looks like someone took the leftover material from tiki torches and built a stock. It's heinous. You get the handguard off. This is a nice plum recreation from Atlantic. and you'd squeeze it, it would just you could almost break it with one hand if you took it off the gun and squeeze it like that. So it was just garbage. And overall, like I said, the good stuff about the gun is about that important, and the bad stuff is about that important. Century could have built a good gun. They had some good components, but the metallurgy was just garbage. And honestly, if you come across one, I wouldn't buy it. I have no experience with the VSK that they came out with afterwards. If it's good, if it's bad, I don't know. I've never shot one. I'm sure there's other people with videos out on them. But my overall opinion of Century is that they are not a bad company overall, but they're not great at manufacturing stuff. They're much better at importing it, and they provide good customer service if you have a problem. So hopefully this is helpful. I'll attach some B footage of me shooting the gun and messing with it when I had it. And if you have any questions about my experience with Century or anything like that, hit me up. Don't forget to like or subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you want to see more of. That's always helpful too, as I'm kind of coming up with ideas for videos. Alright everyone, have a good day.